The coronavirus has now affected more than 100,000 people worldwide. But the last time my guest was on, he said it's not the public health system that's the victim here. It's really going to be the economy. Let's see how he sees things now. Gerald Celente, editor of and publisher of the Trends Journal. Gerald, thank you for being back on. Have you had a change of heart? Last time you said the coronavirus was overhyped a month ago.
Yeah, it's overhyped more now than it was. It's our top story in our Trends Journal. Prostitutes, puppet masters, peddling hysteria. You just mentioned how many people in the world have been affected. What is it, 100 and how many thousand?
Over 100,000 right now, Gerald.
Yeah, affected. And how many have died? About 3,500, 3,900 out of a population of 7.7 billion. How many people have died of the flu in the United States this year? Oh, only 18,000. How many people have died of coronavirus in the United States? Oh, about 25. Oh, out of a population of 327 million people. And where did most of them die from? Oh, a nursing home, an elderly home up in Kirkland, Washington, that people were chronically ill. No, this thing to me is being blown way out of proportion. It's like, you got to get that vaccination for measles. We had 927 cases in the United States last year. And when I was a kid growing up, everybody got the measles, the mumps, and the chicken pox, and I didn't know anybody that died. And I'm born, at the height of the baby boom, the beginning of it, when there were 40 kids in my class. So what I'm saying is, this to me is a load of hype that's destroying the global economy. It's destroying people's lives, and it's accelerating the greatest depression that I had forecast was going to happen in 2021. Welcome. It's just begun.
I was going to say, because I know we disagree on comparing it to the flu and whatnot and the gravity of this, regardless of the death toll, let's put that aside, right? Let's look at the impact it's having on the global economy. The flu did not cripple the second largest economy in the world, but this has. The flu did not shut down Italy, a Western democracy, but this has. And now it's spreading here in the US. So it's not just the flu, Gerald.
Oh, well, it's the implications. And I would not call it a democracy. You got a guy in there, Conte, he wasn't elected by the people. He was put in there by the two parties. And now you got this one guy declare, hey, listen, I'm an expert. I know everything in this field. You don't know anything. I'm the head of the government. And I got some clown over here that's a bureaucrat that's also going to back me up in what I say. I want everybody to stay 1 meter away and no kissing on the cheek. And you can't get married, no weddings, and wait for your funerals. You died, you're going to have to wait till you die again because you're not going to allowed to have a funeral. They're making this stuff up as they're going along. They are destroying the global economy, the airline industry, the cruise industry. Hey, no more concerts.
Why would they be making it up, Gerald? Why would they be making it up if it wasn't so contagious, if it wasn't so dangerous? Why would they want to hurt their economy?
Because listen, that guy Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al-Qaeda. I want him out of there. I don't like that guy Gaddafi. Get rid of Assad. You got these crazy people that are world leaders and government leaders that are narcissistic freaks that want to control the people. Look, Italy's was going to a recession before this happened. How many people have died? About 600 and something. Italy has the oldest population in Europe. The people that are dying are chronically ill already and elderly.
Correct.
So we have unqualified people with track records of nothing but failure telling the people what to do. Oh, we got this little governor over here, Cuomo. He's a genius. He knows everything. Like his brother Chris, born on third base and thought they hit a home run because his daddy was Mario Cuomo, now calling in the National Guard to go to New Rochelle? What is that going to do? They're making up this stuff as they go along. They don't know what to do. They're unqualified, and they are destroying the global economy.
The point I'm trying to get to, and I hear what you're saying, and I agree, Italy has a very elderly population, hence the reason it's affecting the country so much. But why would the government to take these draconian measures? And basically, you're right. Italy was already on the brink of a recession, and this will basically cripple the economy. Why would they want to shut down the economy if this is not a serious issue?
This, to me, is a power play of control. If there's one thing that this is showing me is how the governments could take control of the people anytime, anywhere, any place. Hey, Daniela, remember those demonstrations in Hong Kong that were going on continually and that were headline news virtually every day? Don't hear about those anymore. Hey, you French people, no more. You're not allowed to go marching in the street. Same thing in Italy. They had these other movements going on, the new sardine movement and all. You're not allowed to do that anymore. So to me, this is government control. And why they're doing it, again, as their track record proves, they're narcissistic sociopaths and psychopaths. And now they're in charge, and they're bringing out their sickness and putting it onto the entire populations.
All right, let's turn to the U.S. economy here, which, what a week of weeks. Goldman Sachs calling, basically saying, look, this is the end of the bull run for the S&P. I know you're not in U.S. equities at all, but how do you see things over here?
It's terrible. The whole thing is going down. If this continues the way it is, again, we're looking at the streets are empty. The restaurants are empty. How about all these people that are working in all these different sectors that are out of work now? Where are they going to get money to spend? You have interest rates now at record lows and mortgage rates. Are people going to be able to afford to buy houses? So again, let's go back, Daniela. We already heard from the IMF earlier this year before Rosie, Queen of Coronavirus, showed up, and they were talking about going into a depression. So now a bad situation is going to be much worse. This is going to be a global slowdown, and it's going to go into the greatest depression if measures aren't taken now to turn it around. And the measures they're taking are not going to turn it around. Fiscal stimulus isn't going to do it, and more negative and zero interest rate policies are going to do it.
So do you think the Fed just added fuel to the fire by cutting last week?
Oh, yeah, because now where are they going to go? How much lower are they going to go? They only have 1% to go. And now we just saw the UK just lower their interest rates by what, 50 basis points? And you saw it happen in Australia last week, 50 basis points down, historic lows. And again, the slowdown was happening before this happened. You saw GDP growth in Europe at 0.1% in the last quarter of 2019. This is devastating to the global economy.
One safe haven that everyone is running to is, as you know, gold, right?
Of course.
But the number one question I was getting this week, and maybe you can shed some light here, Gerald, is, hey, well, why isn't gold at $2,000 yet if the world is melting?
It's a good question, and it's a question I have in my mind as well. But let's go back to the panic of '08. Let's go back to when it was all going down. So too were gold prices. Gold prices didn't start booming up until things really, really started going down big time. And that's what we're seeing, the same play. The other thing is a lot of people that are losing all this dough are cashing out of gold to pay what they have to pay off because they're losing so much. And number three, why would I not think that the government is doing everything they can as their currencies are going more and more worthless as they're bringing the economies lower and lower because of the lower interest rates? What are they doing? Short selling the markets. Look, we just saw 2 Fridays in a row. All of a sudden, the markets are down in the United States, 800, 900 points. And the last 10 minutes, hey, they're only down 200 points, 225 points. The plunge protection team, the national team in China, So do I think the markets are being rigged? Of course I know they are. They call it plunge protection team. They're rigging the markets. I believe they are fearful of gold prices skyrocketing. They should be well over $2,000 an ounce now because people will be bailing out of all the currencies. And here's the big one. Here's the big one. They're already telling you over there in Italy, don't handle any paper money. They're all telling you this stuff is dirty, don't handle it. They're going to come out with a new cryptocurrency and get rid of all the dirty cash that they have that isn't worth the paper it's not printed on already. And they're going to come out with a new line of digital dollars, digital everythings, reals, liras, you name it. And they're going to use this as an excuse. Don't touch that dirty money. Oh, you've only been using it since the beginning of who knows when, but now if you use it, you're going to die. All right? That's what they're doing.
And you would think on the topic of Bitcoin getting hit hard and following and acting like a risk asset and following it down this week.
Yes, but I'm talking about governments coming out with new digital currencies. That's what we're going to.
All right, Gerald. Let's before we wrap here, I got to get your thoughts on. Hey, we almost forgot there's a presidential election happening, right? With all this talk of coronavirus, we forgot to talk about trade wars. What happened to that, right? Presidential election. Are you surprised by Joe Biden's comeback here?
Yes and no. And then we wrote about it in the magazine, the Trends Journal, before Sanders lost Michigan, and that is that the young people don't want the old people. And so they're not getting out the millennial vote. They don't appeal to them. And you're looking at the numbers, just purely looking at the numbers, the young people haven't gone out to vote. So neither of the candidates appeal to them. So it's going to be, I call it the presidential reality show. It's the greatest freak show on earth. And you know, and the motto of the magazine is think for yourself. But as I see it, it's going to be Trump 2020. That was one of our top trend forecasts for 2020, and that's the way we see it now. Joe Biden is going to be the Hubert Humphrey of the 1960s for the 2020, unless, of course, if they bring in maybe, who knows, maybe Biden will bring in Bernie or Elizabeth Warren as vice president, and then maybe they have a shot at getting the young people to that other element of the Democratic Party to vote that wouldn't go out to vote.
I don't know. Bernie Sanders as VP running with Biden?
They're politicians. Look up the definition. Someone who's manipulative and devious, typically to gain advancement within an organization.
Well, that's why you and I are not in politics, right, Gerald?
That's right.
I appreciate you joining me today. It's pretty heated discussion, but I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me on, and thank you for all that Kitco does to keep the truth alive.
Right. So no compassion for the Italians today from Gerald Celente. All right. Thank you, Gerald, and thank you for watching this edition of Kitco News. We'll have much more for you on kitco.com.